Hey, the championship is secured. And I ain't here to brag, I ain't here to celebrate, but I'm here to show you how you can get a championship in your league. Here to break it down. Because at this point, it ain't about luck, it's about execution. Y'all step into my office so I can show y'all how to get a dub. Numbers over narratives.
Cherry Cracker Beats.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy T Will, Hustle Sports Fantasy Podcast, basketball edition. And yes, sir, we got it done. Fantasy basketball champion. You looking at them right here. But more important than the win is the process behind the win. Because anybody can get hot for a week. Anybody can get hot for a little stretch. But winning a championship, that comes down to decisions, discipline, and timing. So today I'm breaking down exactly how I was able to get it done. All praises to the Most High God for sure, and what you need to take from it. You know what I mean? First off, you know what I'm saying? We're going to get into the draft, the foundation. You know what I'm saying? Everything starts with the foundation. You need a great foundation to get a championship going. You know what I'm saying? Every championship starts before the season even begins. Roster construction. Personally, I ain't drafting names. I drafted for roles that I like, roles that I wanted to see, people who can contribute in multiple categories, usage, minutes, opportunity. And throughout the season, I stayed consistent with that approach. You know, no emotional decisions, no chasing narratives. I didn't care if I liked the player or not. They was my favorite player. They was my dog. If they wasn't the best player to be on the roster for that moment, I didn't get them. I just needed data, role clarity. That's the so he got hurt early in the year, and I had to end up dropping him, which ended up creating a streaming spot for me. He was balling early on, and I really love what he was able to do. You know, DeAndre Hunter, he got hurt. I had to, pivot. PJ, my dog from the Mavs, I love him. Favorite player on the Mavs right now, but I'm trying to get a dub and I'm trying to get a chip. And so I had to cut bait. Thankfully, I did because he missed a lot of games because of injuries. And Matherin, he was a baller. I held on to him as long as I could, but sometimes you got to pivot. That's how it go. You know what I mean? That's what it is. But let's jump to speaking of pivots. Let's talk about what most leagues have won or lost, and that is pivoting, waiver wire, streaming, timing. I stayed active. I stayed active. I stayed disciplined too, because every move had a purpose. Short-term streams for category boosts. If I needed a points production boost that night, or even long-term streams. You know what I mean? People I held on for a month, couple months, and then let them go when the time was right. You know what I'm saying? Patience. That's the thing. I think you can't overreact. You can't panic drop. You can't get emotional. And that's typically what people mess up at, though, because they making a decision based on how they feel about the player, how they feel about, you know, whatever. But that's where you can mess up at, because then that causes you to do a panic drop, emotional drop. You might, might overreact after a bad game, bad week, but you can't panic. You know what I mean? And it's so easy to lose sight of the bigger picture when you panic like that. And one of the pivots I talked about, Chet, I was able to trade him for Cat, Carl Anthony Towns. You know what I'm saying? And at the time I did the trade, this was maybe like 4 weeks into our season. Now we started 2 weeks late, so we only had 17 matchups as opposed to most people got 19 or 20. I traded Chet probably like 4 weeks into the season. I was able to get Carl Anthony Towns, and it was a wash, honestly, up until All-Star break. It definitely was a wash. So it looked like it was really a trade just about preference. The guy I traded with, I had him on the show. My dog Lighty, manager of Expo. I played him in the championship. He not a Cat fan. He not a Cat fan. You know what I'm saying? Chet, I was able to get it done with Chet. And hey, they ended up bowling well for me. This who I was at the midpoint of the season. As you can see, I'm on the right, Luka Vandross. I got killed in this one. I dropped to 3-5 after this one, too. I didn't realize I was 3-5 at one point. But this week, I streamed Cornette. I had Keegan Murray. He was a long-term stream for me. I streamed Colin Sexton. He was still on the Hornets when I did that. Casey Wallace, Jay Huff. I only used 5 or 6 of my moves, and I got killed that week. But, and I ain't saying if I would have used all 6, I would have been able to, make that happen, make up that 500-point difference. But I would have been more locked in. I would have been more in tune with what I needed to do to try to get it done. This week it didn't happen, but I named some of them streamers for y'all. That just show you how crazy the season can get. Because those, the last 4 I told you about, Mather and Hunter, Grimes, PJ, they weren't even on the squad anymore. You know what I'm saying? I had pretty much had 4 spots worth of streamers at that point, But pivoting. Don't, if your strategy work and get you to the championship, kudos to you. You know what I'm saying? But if your strategy, you start seeing it ain't working at some points, don't be scared to pivot. Don't be scared to pivot now. But you got to weigh your options, though. Don't do it out of emotions. You got to be clear. I spoke about clarity all season. And this is what I'm talking about. You got to be clear when you're making those moves and be okay with what happens with them. Don't, oh man, if I would have did this or I shouldn't have done that. Looking in the past, that get you in trouble all the time. So don't do that. Don't do that. Stay clear. Stay level-headed. Stay locked in. And when you stay locked in, when the playoffs hit, everything tighten up. You already know it tighten up. This could apply to any fantasy league, sport. Because now it ain't about potential in the playoff time. It's about precision. It's about matchups, schedules, availability. Schedules almost hurt me in the championship, but all of that matters. All of that matters. You got to look into all of that. How many games they play in a week? If they got 2 games that week, are they good enough or are they bad enough to drop and nobody's gonna grab them? You know what I mean? And you lose to a guy that you just had because you panic drop. But you got to look at schedules, availability, matchups. And this is where a lot of people fold because it's so easy to panic. It's so easy to overcorrect, overreact, and this is how you could lose in the playoffs. Like one situation, when Maxey got hurt and they announced that he was going to be out till after April 1st, I dropped Maxey. I held on to him for 2 weeks. Of the 3 playoff weeks, I dropped him. And it could have went against me, but it didn't. But it opened up a spot for me to be able to stream, be able to lock in. Because I ain't going to lie, he came back early, and nobody had no news about him coming back until the day before he played. But luckily, because he played on a Saturday, I still had 2 moves left for my matchup acquisitions. I was able to grab them back, use them for that Saturday. They was off Sunday. I still had a spot to stream for Sunday. Stay locked in. Every move is intentional. Every decision has context. The core was intact. I was able to keep my core intact, but over the course of the season, I was able to grab Tatum and Bridges because of frustration drops. The very thing I'm telling y'all to be careful with. I was able to grab them and able to benefit off of it. Now, this round one of my playoffs, as you can see, I was able to, give Brazy Boys, manager of Brazy Boys, that payback. I was able to get a dub, a nice, healthy dub. And I only used three of my matchup acquisitions that week. You know what I mean? I don't want to just do stuff just to do it either. Like I say, everything's intentional. You know what I'm saying? Tatum came back. He played well. He wasn't playing in back-to-backs either. Bridges, he's hit or miss. I ain't gonna lie, but he's gonna hit more than he missed, and that's a good thing. So I was able to grab him, and then DeJounte, I was able to grab him and stash him because he was hurt, and he came back late February, and he's still not playing back to backs. But as you look at what he's done over the course of these last 2 months, he ball anytime he play. You just gotta be prepared for when he don't play the back to backs. You gotta make the tough decisions. Don't be scared of it. Like I say, I only made 3 moves in this week. I streamed Maxime Reynard. I spoke about him on the Believe in Fantasy channel. He's a great streamer. He been balling in Sacramento. Silly season in full effect. DJJ, Derrick Jones Jr., the former Mav. I appreciate you. I streamed him. He showed love. He played well that week. And then Keon Ellis. I streamed him. I like him though. You know what I'm saying? I just think it seemed like this is second team. He's going to places where it's like a crowded backcourt, but when he played good defensively, good minutes, he's just a solid guy. Round two. This is my round two. I did max out my matchup acquisitions this week, and I was able to get the dub on my big bro, manager of Beast Bullies. I repaid him because he beat me twice in the season. I was able to get back the one that mattered, the one that count. Hey, this week I streamed Koulibaly, and he had a back-to-back when I streamed him, and he went crazy in both games. As you can see, he one of the top scorers up here, 81. He did that in the 2 games I had him. Justin Edwards, he up here. I don't know if he in the frame, but he had 70 total fantasy points that week for me. Cam Johnson, as you can see, manager of Beast Bullies was able to stream Cam Johnson himself. I don't know if that's in the frame, but he was able to get Cam Johnson after I dropped him as well. So, sometimes you play, hot potato like that, and hopefully you get them right. I was able to get Sensabaugh this week, Duncan Robinson, Royce O'Neal, Scoot Henderson. I streamed all of them. You know what I'm saying? It don't stop. The grind do not stop. But great philosopher, Clifford Harris, y'all know him as T.I., he said it best. Grind don't stop, hustle don't quit. And it's like that in fantasy. Same thing. Same thing in fantasy. Listen, I was throwing everything but the kitchen sink at this boy to get the dub, and I was able to pull it out. This the championship matchup. I maxed out my matchup acquisitions this week as well. You know what I'm saying? I was able to get a tough dub. I ain't gonna lie. I was down going into Friday in this one. So this one definitely earned this one, had to get this one out the mud. But this week I streamed Leonard Miller, Jeremiah Fears, Brooke Lopez. I explained earlier, I was able to grab Maxey back this week. This is the week that he played the Saturday against the Hornets. I grabbed Sam Merrill, Paul Reed, Wendell Carter. You got to be locked in. You got to stay on top of it. It's the only way you're going to get there. It's the only way you're going to get dubs. And then in the midst of that, as you stream somebody, you're going to find a real difference maker over the course of the season. You're going to have players, you're going to have 30, 40 players that you didn't touch, that you didn't grabbed on your roster. Now you got a bank of 30, 40 players. As long as they ain't get hurt, now you got a bank of 30, 40 players, maybe even 50, 60, depending on how long you stream, to where you can just go grab players. You're like, okay, well, I know he did this a couple months ago. Let me tap in and see what he's doing right now. And if he ain't doing nothing, you got more names that you can go bounce off of. And that's the thing. You're able to find difference makers like that. You know what I mean? The moves that actually swung the champion and strategic streams, holding the right players, not burning acquisitions too early. And I ain't gonna lie, that can come back and bite you. I did beat somebody who burnt their 7th acquisition by Friday, And by Saturday and Sunday, it's 2 more days. You can't make no moves. All your moves counted for next week. Understanding the difference too between a short-term play and a long-term play, or even a intermediate term stream. Yeah, you might stream a guy for a night, and if you drop him and he go crazy at the right time, the right injury, like Golden State, Jimmy Butler got hurt, Moses Moody, Guy Santos, Melton when he came back, when he played. It's opportunities are gonna get created just because of injuries and the next man up mentality. The game, unfortunately, you want to see people stay healthy. And prayers up that they make a full recovery. Anybody who got hurt this season, but teams adopt a next man up mentality. But and be done with it. But that is about managing risk, understanding roles, and about staying disciplined when things get uncomfortable. Things got super uncomfortable for me. I started off 0-2, got to 2-2, dropped to 2-4, got to 3-4, dropped to 3-5, got to 4-5, then dropped to got to 5-5, dropped to 5-6, and then went on a burner to end the season. So as you see, I was under 500 for most of the season until I got hot, but because that's management. You know what I'm saying? Because there will be misses, there will be bad weeks. But if your process right and your mentality, hey, and in closing, championship secured, process validated. And now for me, it's time to defend the crown. Hey, and if y'all need leagues, y'all trying to find leagues to compete in, I got some spots that's going to be opening up. Email, hit me in the chat. Whatever you need to do, come compete with us. Come rock with us. See it. Put your skills up to the test. If you're trying to get a chip in your league, if your league ain't over with yet, stay locked in. Stay this across all fantasy sports. So check out my Fantasy Football 2025, the season that was episode.